Welcome to Career Marketeer, the podcast where we learn from leaders in the digital marketing industry. Each episode, we dive into the unique career journey of marketeers and explore the pivotal moments that shape the leaders behind the job titles. Whether you're just starting out or planning your next big move, this space is to discover how others have built, pivoted, and future-proofed their marketing careers. We go beyond the highlights, uncovering the highs and lows, the lessons learned, and the secrets behind their success. I'm your host, Louise Hellier, marketing recruiter by day, podcast host by night. And in this episode, I will be discussing personal branding with Allanah, who has built a LinkedIn following of over 30,000 in just 2 years. In this episode, we uncover the secrets to building a truly authentic personal brand. Welcome to the podcast. Great to have you on board.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, really excited to hone in on that. So, just for those who don't know who you are and kind of your background, just give us a brief overview of your general sort of career journey so far and how building a personal brand's played a big part in that.
Yeah, of course. So I did a business management degree at the University of Winchester. If I'm being frank, I didn't really think too much into what I wanted to do as I was coming to graduate. I kind of felt the fear of when you graduate, you need to be in a job straight away. So I kind of just fell into something that really wasn't for me. Over that time, I kind of reflected and realised that I was leaning to more of the creative side. I've always been sort of in creative like fields of hobby as well, like dance, singing, acting. So it felt quite a natural route for me to go. I landed my first role in marketing about 8 months after I graduated. So I wasn't in that other career for too long. And it was quite a fit role. It was at a hair and salon company, and I'd grown up with my mum working in the industry. So I sort of knew a lot about it. So I went in feeling quite comfortable. I was a generalist marketer there, so social media, emails. I managed the Shopify website listing products, which helped me gain a lot of experience in quite a short amount of time. I think I was there for about 8 months, but during that process, I started posting on LinkedIn. So I really the value in the marketing communities that were on there. So Pretty Little Marketer, Girls in Marketing, really saw LinkedIn as an opportunity for me to sort of showcase my passions. It's hard enough getting a role in marketing as it is, but then progressing with not years of experience is equally harder. So I kind of used it as my creative outlet to sort of talk about campaigns that I liked, industry updates, and this sort of helped me land my next role at Utilita Energy, where I still am today. And I think it was one of the big reasons why I was hired as well. My manager loved that, my passion for the industry. So I've naturally progressed both with my personal brand and my role at the same time. So been at Utilita for just under 2 years and am now a digital marketing campaign manager. And during that time, I've carried on with my personal brand, kept posting, pushing myself out of my comfort zone to attend events, do talks, jump on things like this that I wouldn't have necessarily done had I not started posting. And I've made a lot of friends and I've had a lot of opportunities throughout the process as well.
Amazing. Yeah. So you mentioned that you started the sort of LinkedIn personal brand building before you started Utilita. I mean, how many sort of connections, followers do you think you had before you joined Utilita?
So we did have to set up our LinkedIn profiles as part of one of our business modules at uni. So I always had an account just floating around in the background since about 2019. It was pretty much neglected, but I had a good head start with connecting with majority of my cohort. So I had a couple hundred followers when I started off. But while I was at my previous job at Salon Supplies, I actually was part of the Girls in Marketing 3-day internship program, and that was really, really good. There was about 2,000 people on at the time, and it was a really big virtual networking opportunity. So I was sharing learnings from each day, interacting with other people on the program, and I think at the end of that, I had about 2,000 followers, and that was just before I started at Utilita. So I think once I started at Utilita, I had maybe like 2,000 to 2,500 followers. But that internship program really helped me. It made me get those early connections in the doors and form friendships really early. Like there is a group chat, I think, of like 4 girls that I'm sort of met on the program and met at a networking event down the line, and we've still got our group chat to this day. So
It's brilliant. Yeah, so like you said, those early connections. So you say about 2000 when you joined Utilita, and you're coming up to your 2-year anniversaries, and now you've grown a community of 30,000 on LinkedIn in just that short space of time. For some people, that's an astronomical figure to have grown so much in that time. And so that's what I'm really keen to uncover, the secret to that success. But I don't know if you're aware, like, just how little investment traditionally some people would make building a personal brand. It just wasn't seen as a something that you would seem necessary as part of your business, but part of your career has been instrumental in that. When was it you first recognized that it was an important thing to invest in, really?
Yeah, I think it's really hard. Like marketing, I can't count for any other sort of industries, but I know firsthand as a graduate how hard it was to land a role.
Mm.
So, although I did a business degree, I chose for 2 years to take every marketing module. I had a marketing dissertation, which I'd done research in, that I got a first in, and it just felt like even the entry roles, they wanted experience.
Mm.
So, I did take on sort of volunteering roles as like Instagram editors just for some little background help. I think it was at that point when I realized like the communities that were being built on LinkedIn and how this could be a creative outlet for me to sort of show my passion for the industry, talk about things that are sort of trending, updates that I'm doing, like pushing myself out of my comfort zone in that way. I really saw the importance of having that, being able to link and showcase that on my LinkedIn and not necessarily having the experience, but having the passion and the willingness to learn. So I would say that's probably when I first started out at how impactful the personal brand can be for me in my career.
Yeah, definitely. It sounds like they taught you well to make that initial LinkedIn, like you said, at uni, and invest in it. So go back to like your early days of posting. What were do you remember the kind of things that you would post about to begin with?
I think it literally was this time 2 years ago because I remember it was the Barbie Oppenheimer war in the cinema.
Yeah,
So I
well,
did like,
flashback. Yeah.
yeah, I did like a little carousel of my like top three favorite marketing Barbie moments and my top three marketing Oppenheimer moments. But to be honest, like I don't think my content has strayed too much. I've always kind of brought the same vibe. I just think I've adapted over time to knowing sort of the language my audience likes. Maybe I was a little bit more reserved and a bit corporate at first, but I've always posted sort of trends that I love, like upcoming trends, marketing campaigns, and I love like a good meme or something people relate
Mm.
to on there. But I just think over time, probably my language has loosened as I've shown more of myself and my personality and shared that with my audience. I sort of know what I can get away with, whereas maybe at first I was a little bit more reserved and not showing that
Hmm.
truly. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's strayed too much if I'm being honest from the beginning to now.
Yeah, I think sometimes for a lot of people, it is the biggest fear to overcome, that initial
Yeah.
post and getting into that rhythm. So how did you make that into again a part of your working day, working career? How do you regulate it?
It was so hard, and honestly, if I could go back now, like I would probably give myself a pat on the back because like
Yeah.
it's really hard sometimes when you're talking to like a brick wall on social. You are pumping out content, but you feel like no one's really there and listening. And I remember posts getting like 20 likes and thinking, oh, I really hit home with this one today. Like, so it's hard, and like especially when you're not seeing that immediate payoff.
Hmm.
I think because I really got into it during this internship program, and a lot of people were posting. I kind of felt empowered by the people around me at the time. So whether that's sort of you're in a corporate job and there's other people that can be there to support you as well. It's having that support and like knowing that you are doing something impactful, but also just looking at the bigger picture and really having sort of your goals and keeping to it, like always working towards something. And what I do is with my goals as well is I don't try to make them too ambitious. I try to make them realistic because
Mm.
if I can hit a realistic goal, then I can reevaluate and make a new goal. I think sometimes when you strive for too ambitious things, and then you don't see the immediate payoff, it can be disheartening. So I like taking things as sort of small measures at a time, achievable targets that I can hit and then reevaluate. That really helped me. So whether it was getting 1,000 followers. And then I remember I used to celebrate every time I hit a 500 follower milestone. So it was like, oh my gosh, 1,500
Yeah.
followers, 2,000 followers. But they were major milestones to me at the time. I wasn't hoping to get 10,000 followers in the next month. It was setting those smaller milestones that I could celebrate and keep the momentum up to keep posting.
Absolutely, yeah. So, what do you think is difficult to say because the LinkedIn algorithm's obviously always changing and so on. But there's a lot of people. I'm probably in this category. Maybe we try and build our personal brand, and we think of content, and we think this is going to do well, and so on, and get that engagement. What is it that you see other people are doing wrong, or what do you think makes your content so different that you have built such a strong following in such a short space of time?
Yeah, it's really hard because like every other platform, things can be hit and miss. And I do have posts now that I think are going to do really well, and people just don't resonate. I'm not even sure if it's not resonate. Like, there's so many more people posting on LinkedIn now than what there was when I first started out hard on it. So it's harder to break through sort of the noise. I've always been myself. How I speak online is how you're going to meet me, whether I'm a long-term friend or I've met you at like a networking event.
Mm.
So still using sort of the same tone of voice, the language that I use. I never try to sort of overcomplicate anything. I think there is a lot of LinkedIn isn't the new Facebook, you should be professional, but I do think that those opinions are sort of outdated now.
Yeah.
I think if you show your personality, people connect to you on a more personal level. Again, I think AI can be a blessing and a curse when it
Hmm.
comes to LinkedIn posts. You can tell if something has just been created in LinkedIn, no, in AI, sorry, rather than actually coming from you. I mean, I'm all for ideas coming from yourself, but asking AI if they can help you to sort of flesh it out a little bit as like a guidance tool. But it's the personality bit that I think gets people. They want to know that you're relatable and you understand them. And I think one thing that I had for me when I was beginning is I was really transparent. I said, I'm new to this industry, I'm learning. And I think a lot of people were the same. They were sort of learning to find their feet as well. And I shared stuff really transparently. I remember when I went to my first South Coast digital marketing event, I literally posted that day and I was like, I am going to an event tonight. I am so scared. I'm going by
Yeah.
myself, but I'm speaking it into existence so that I do go, because you all know that I'm planning to go. So if I don't go now, I'm going to feel really awkward. So it's just like finding your voice, being transparent. I think that connects with people on a personal level and helps your post to really resonate.
Yeah, no, it's keeping yourself accountable, and like you say, you really want to show that you're going, and ideally, hopefully there might be somebody who sees your post and goes, "Oh, I'm going to, I'm,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what I was
let's be
hoping. Like,
friends."
yeah, when everyone was commenting, and it's like now I know like a few friendly faces that I can say hi to. But
Yeah,
and then I posted the next day, and I was like, guys, it wasn't too bad. Like, I didn't speak to 101 different people, but everything comes in small measures. So it's just putting it yourself out there, I think.
yeah, absolutely. So I think a personal brand in itself is so much more than just sort of posting things online. So how would you describe the importance of building that personal brand, and particularly for marketers who are sort of starting out their career, what would you say to them about building their personal brand, and why you feel it is important to kickstart that career journey?
Yeah, of course. I think the way like people are getting hired for jobs are so different now. I saw a statistic and it was like more employers are sort of looking at your LinkedIn now more than ever. And it's not just a profile, it's kind of like your online CV as well. So if you really want to show that you're passionate about something, like it's definitely a great place to start. Again, if for graduates that maybe don't have any experience, it's I call it like a creative like passion outlet. It's a portfolio of you know what you're talking about. You're not behind. You're not saying you can just do all these things without the proof. But I would say it's literally helped my career twofolds. It's helped people see me so much more seriously in the industry with minimal experience. I mean, I'm only approaching 2.5 years in the industry myself since graduating, and I feel like I've learned so much from the people on there as well. So whether you're going to sort of start your profile or not, like going on there and following the right people, you can learn so much in such a short space of time.
Yeah, I think that is so true, and I think it's definitely quality over quantity in that respect as well. When there's a lot, like you said, there's a lot of voices now on LinkedIn, and only a handful, I think, are probably worth actually listening to and engaging
It
with.
is a little bit oversaturated sometimes, and sometimes it can feel like an abundance of information. And oh, I need to be doing this, or I need to be following this, or jumping on this trend. I find that even with myself now, and it's just like evaluating what's actually worthwhile and adds value to you. So, laying out sort of what you want to achieve from a personal brand or what you want to achieve with your career, and then following the right people for that. Even the business you work in, or whether you freelance or you have clients, like, is this update going to affect your day to day? Is this trend going to be something that you incorporate into your social content? It's really like taking a step back and seeing things for what they are and how they are going to affect you, rather than trying to take on every tip and every thought piece that you do see, because it can be overwhelming.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's a scary time when you just have to get that engagement going, but at the same time, not being lost in the crowd, I
Yeah.
suppose, of a million voices out there. Going back to about building the brand, the amount of work and effort you've put into building your sort of online brand, how has that investment paid off for you long term as a career? What has that given you? What have you got back from that?
Honestly, so much. I would say it's sort of like a time and money investment. It's been a lot of money travel to events, event tickets as well for networking events, especially if they're in London from Portsmouth. You know, a train ticket isn't that cheap. But it's
Yeah.
all been worthwhile, especially the time. It's not just the time writing the post, but everything else that sort of comes into it. So replying to DMs, comments where you can. I do extra stuff like writing a personal brand blog every month, but it has helped my career. Obviously, when I transitioned from my first to second job, that was quite a big jump in terms of responsibilities and job titles, and that all happened in 8 months. My manager, as I mentioned earlier, she loved the fact that I was on LinkedIn and who I was following. Again, it just conveys that sort of passion for the industry. So, although my job at the time might have said a 2 to 3 year experience and I applied for it at 8 months, that helped my personal brand help me there, I think. Also, over the time where I've been posting here, I see new updates straight away, or how people have embedded something into their campaign and it's worked, and it's helped me sort of reflect that within my day to day. But also just like the networking events as well, meeting new people. You don't know how much that person could mean to you down the line. You don't know where they're going to work, etc. So I've had a lot of opportunities being invited to big events that I would never have been able to afford to go to. And also I went to a creator trip to Italy this year, which was just
Wow.
insane. And I've never pushed myself more out of my comfort zone than turning up to the airport with people that I've never met before and going on a 3 day trip. But
Yeah.
that wouldn't have happened if I hadn't posted online, and someone actually recommended me in to go, and that person was someone that I do the Pretty Little Marketer blog with. So it's just every opportunity can lead to a new opportunity, and that's what it has done for me throughout my 2 years that I've been posting. It's been a whirlwind, and it's been worth sort of the time, effort, and the money that I have put into it.
Definitely. No, it's fantastic. And a big thing that I know there's always being spoken about LinkedIn, about building your personal brand. It's about consistency. They seem to be banging this drum about consistency in your posting and how you use LinkedIn. What would your advice be to somebody? Is it about making sure you post every day? Is it about making sure you post at least so many times a week? What is your strategy
Yeah.
to build that kind of audience and following?
Yeah, so this is one that's really like important to me as well. And my friend Carolina said it perfectly. She said, I am the strategy for her personal brand. My strategy has really been to not put pressure on myself, if I'm being honest. I know there is an expectation to post 1 to 2 times a day, but I think, to be honest, and this is something that I really have taken a bit of a downfall, is splitting my time. I work full time, I invest time in personal brand, but you also need that time just to be yourself, to see your friends, see your family, do your hobbies. And I got quite caught up in that, not being able to have a lot of time to myself because I was investing a lot of time into this. So every Sunday would look like doing brand deals or writing blogs or editing or volunteering for different companies, all because I thought it would push me a little bit further, which it did do, but it got to that point where I was burning out a little bit. It was almost like Sunday was an extra working day on the end of the week for me. So my biggest advice in terms of consistency in posting is just taking a step back, seeing what your expectations are for your day to day, whether you do work full time, whether you freelance, whether your agency work, whatever you do, take a step back, set out your main core responsibilities, put in the time for yourself, whether that's hobbies, going to the gym, seeing your partner, seeing family, seeing friends, and then seeing what time spare that you have to give to it. Because the moment you let it rule over your life, it won't be something that is seen as fun anymore. It will be another chore. Like, you don't want to have for Monday to come around and be like, I haven't got 5 days worth of posts scheduled.
Yeah.
And the best way that I do this actually, and it mind boggles everyone every time, is that I don't actually pre-plan my content at all. I
Mm.
write post per post. So you could guarantee the post that went out 3 p.m. ago, I probably wrote that in my lunch break, and I do not have a post planned for tomorrow. So the way I tackle it is either I write it the night before, I write it the morning of, or I write it when I think about it in my notes app or something. This way, not only helps me not make it feel like it's a chore because I write multiple content calendars for my job anyway. It also helps me be reactive if there is a new campaign or a new trend or a hot topic. Take Taylor Swift's engagement announcement.
Yeah.
I'm sure everyone's seen that. But if you have like a regiment scheme, it's harder for you to break that than be reactive. So going back to your main question in terms of sort of consistency and how many times you should post a week, I do think you should just post for whenever works best for you. I
Hmm.
honestly don't see a lot of the time much difference on whether I post 10 times a week to 5 times a week to 3 times a week. I think being able to recognize if you need to take a step back and post less or whether you have more chance to sort of post more, I think do what feels healthy for you without over pushing it and giving yourself the chance to rest because it's not world ending. I'm sure if I don't post for a day, people aren't thinking, why hasn't Allanah posted? So,
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, I think that resonates a lot because I sometimes find that the posts that I spend ages sort of going over and trying to refine over and over again don't do as well as the ones where I just think of something really short and snappy and just post it there and then
oh,
just because I can. And then that one escalates. I think, well, I put zero effort and that took me 30 seconds to write versus the one that I kept
honestly,
re-editing over and over again. So it's not just me then.
no, it's so true. Like, you can have major thought pieces that you can research, find information for, or marketing campaign roundups, or you want to post about something really reactive, be the first one to post about it for like a new partnership, but that meme that you post in like 2 seconds will blow up compared to everything else. That's just the way the cookie crumbles, unfortunately, sometimes with social. As I said, it is very hit and miss on terms of what content does resonate and what hits the right audience at the right time. So it is all just about trial and error. To be honest, I never know if I post something if it's going to do well or not. As long
Mm.
as I believe in the content that I'm posting and it aligns with what I do and I'm not trying to be anyone else, then that's all I can really ask for.
I think that's the key thing, just being genuine. I don't know if you think it's a case of going in with a mindset of don't do it for the likes and the impressions, do it because you've got something to share and
Yeah.
hopefully it resonates with that one person.
And I think that's where like we all first start off, like when you don't have much of an audience there anyway. It's not that you're doing it at first to get thousands and thousands of eyes on you. You're sharing it because you're passionate, and that's what it all stems back to. Whether you do have 100 followers or 1,000 or 10,000, as long as you're staying true to what you are excited about, then that's the main thing you can ask for, really.
Yeah, of course. I mean, one thing I've always wanted to ask you is another thing that people often say is, or the secret to LinkedIn and building that personal brand is video. And I can't say I've seen you post many videos. And again, does that, you've sort of demonstrated that that doesn't necessarily need to be true, that you have to post videos to show your authentic self. So what is that, sort of like a personal choice, or what's the reason not to do video, or do you think that's just about individual preference?
I think it is individual preference. I've done a few videos in my time, but I just haven't seen the payoff, if I'm being honest. I know people have had some really good results and continue to have some really good results with video. But for me, like, I just don't see a payoff in terms of sort of engagement metrics on those posts. For the time and effort that you put in for a video as well, I'm quite a perfectionist and I do ramble. So the amount it takes me to record, edit, make sure it's perfect, write a caption, add subtitles to it, and then post it. It's easier for me to just write a caption and attach a photo, if I'm being honest. So it is just a personal preference and my choice. Again, people have seen that video where it's a lot better for them and their audience. So I think it's just a trial and error situation on what you feel comfortable with and what maybe resonates with your audience. I know a lot of people do get a lot of good out of video, but if it isn't something you don't want to do, like, don't force yourself to do it, because you can be successful without it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think especially like in the last few years, particularly with TikTok and TikTok
Yeah.
trends and things, video has certainly, really escalated, I'd say, since probably in the last 5 years. I think during lockdown, I think when everyone sort of came back, that's when almost everyone was doing the TikTok trends and so on, and
Yeah.
not just doing them, but also integrating them into their LinkedIn, and they're using that to boost their LinkedIn branding. I don't know if is that another platform that you would consider using to use your personal brand, or do you use other platforms as well as LinkedIn?
No. So not currently. I only really operate on LinkedIn. My Instagram is pretty much private, but I do share a lot of what I get up to on there in terms of sort of events and stuff. And as for TikTok, I post like a TikTok every now and then but I don't ever go on and give personal branding tips. And I honestly commend the people that can do it across multiple platforms. I wish I was you. But as I said, I've taken a step back really and seen what I can do within my capabilities at this time. I do take a lot on that isn't just LinkedIn. So a lot of the time I've just finished a data analytics course that I've been working on in the
Yeah.
background. And that's been sort of weekly modules, homeworks, doing a big sort of test and assessment. So it's all about balance, really. I would love to sort of branch out one day. I have thought about multiple different avenues that I can go in terms of sort of consulting and things like that. Like, I'd love to help people that were in my position 3 years ago kickstart their personal brand. But if I'm being honest, it's just finding the time, like, between my full-time job, this life, it's every week something new will get thrown at you that you're
Yeah.
unexpected of. So just LinkedIn for me now. I have hopes. I've got 101 million videos in my camera roll from events that I should have edited together and posted on TikTok by now, and I haven't. So maybe we'll
Yeah.
get to them one day and you'll see more from me on sort of TikTok or maybe YouTube.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think, like you say, it's a lot of the videos that look so amazing. That they could be 30 seconds, but a lot of time and effort does go into those. And I guess it also boils down to, you can turn them around quicker the more that you use them. But again, it's just another branch to sort of go down. And if you were a business growing, you'd say, yeah, absolutely, if we can generate revenue from it, let's do it. But when you're an individual building that personal brand and having that niche, I guess, is maybe the secret to the success. You have just honed in on, and as a result, you've built a huge following in such a short space of time. So is that a message you think should go to somebody who was looking to start building their personal brand and was considering, should they do multiple platforms?
Yeah, honestly, if you think that you sort of have the time, I do think that there is a time and a place for both of them. And I do think that a lot of different platforms offer different opportunities as well. TikTok is great for sort of like UGC like opportunities in marketing, which I would love to do eventually one day. So it's not like on LinkedIn when you get brand partnerships and it's usually sort of a marketing tool or a CRM. You can market in a different way on sort of Instagram and TikTok through UGC affiliate. It's not personal brand based, but it's a different way of marketing and showing your creative skills. So there is definitely a time and a place. And I would suggest, if you do have the time, that you can hone in on multiple. If I was a graduate now, I would have been doing a lot of different stuff in my free time to what I was doing back then, whether that was posting on LinkedIn, but posting on TikTok as well.
Yeah, I think it's like finding the channel that resonates with you and making sure that you know feel comfortable and to show yourself. And another big thing is, I think this is going to be an interesting one, facing that kind of imposter syndrome, because that's obviously a big thing. People don't want to be critiqued, and you know, how do you deal with that? There's a lot of LinkedIn voices, the type of who don't have a profile picture but have plenty of negative things to say and so on. And I think that is a massive thing that puts people off launching their LinkedIn career properly. So how do you deal with that imposter syndrome?
Yeah, honestly, I think it's something that most people deal with as well, imposter syndrome. I think I have it in 101 different ways, sort of a 0 to 100 movement on my personal brand. And sort of how quick I've got to where I am in my career. Sometimes I do think I am the youngest person at the stable. How did I get here? But it's obviously something that you've done well. I know when people say if you get hate, it's because you're doing something right and there's a reason that people talk about you. But honestly, I hate that side. And it does hone in on me sometimes that like a lot of my life is in a public domain now, and it is subject to opinion, and not everyone might have the same opinion. I do want my space to be a positive outlet, and an outlet that inspires people to start their personal brand. So if I do get any across the line comments, which I have done, I've had people comment saying, oh, you can see that you haven't worked in marketing for 5 years. And it's like, okay, let's not put people down because of the longevity of their career. Like we're all starting out. We've all started out before. I do just delete the comments. I don't even give them the time and energy of replying to them, because if they can sit there and take the time to say something mean about you, I'm not giving you my time back. I'd rather use my time in something productive and further my career and write a new LinkedIn post and try and come back with an argumentative response. So that's just not who I am. I just delete the comment, out of sight, out of mind, and move on. But I get what you mean. It can be disheartening and it can put people off. I just think if you are going to start a personal brand or even start posting on social media, before you do, you're just going to have to be aware that this might come as a response and how you're going to deal with that. Again, I just delete it, not respond to it, and I try not to think too much of it. I know there is a lot of trolls out there. What I tell myself a lot of the time, as long as everything is true to who I am, and I can see usually you'll have your audience back you up, and it will be that one person in 1,000. So
Yeah.
just look at the community that you have built, the people that you have around you as your support system, more than the negativity that comes in every now and then.
Yeah.
In terms of imposter syndrome, you've got to where you are for a reason. It hasn't been luck. And I say that all the time. A lot of people can look at someone that's done really well and say, oh, they're so lucky, but they've built the foundations for that themselves. So realizing that it's not luck that where you've got where you are, it's because of all the hard work that you've put in.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's really refreshing to hear, because I think I've certainly noticed the trend and almost using sort of negativity as a tool to kind of boost your performance, because as soon as something negative is trolled, then people come online. You see it a lot of the time when the comments start building. But that's an interesting approach to say, actually, do you know what? I haven't got time to invest in this. My energy's better spent elsewhere. That's a really interesting kind of refreshing kind of take on that. We were saying about how how the algorithm's changing constantly and how many platforms are evolving. I mean, how do you see personal branding evolving over the next few years? Because as we know, you've been in this sort of like game for a short amount of time, and there's probably a long journey ahead. But from what you've seen so far, do you think Gen Zs are going to approach it differently in the future? What do you see the future landscape of it all?
It's been so different from the 2 years that I started back in sort of September 2023 to now. More and more people are joining the scene, and I think that's going to be the way forward. As I mentioned earlier, a lot more people are sort of turning to online profiles for sort of gauging candidates sort of in job processes, though I don't think it is necessary for people to list their social media handles for a job, because not everyone is publicly online. But I do think that it could be used sometimes as like a portfolio thing. A lot of creative roles sometimes ask for a portfolio. So I would definitely use my LinkedIn as sort of show for my experience, sort of what I'm interested in, my events and my passions. But I do think LinkedIn creators will also in the future start to be taken a bit more seriously on there, especially with sort of pay and partnerships. I don't think people really see the opportunity that B2B creators and B2C creators on LinkedIn can do for businesses. And I think that there is a lot of sort of like unfair pay advantages on there at the moment compared to other platforms. But I do think people will, in that respect, see the positive down the line.
I mean, one thing I'm keen to obviously, I know you've sort of mentioned that AI is obviously something that you don't personally use. You use it as a tool, but you don't rely on it. So, like, please generate a post about this and
Yeah.
that. And like you say, you see so many posts like it now. And I think I saw something somebody put recently about how it's as soon as you see like the rocket emoji and so on, there's so much stuff that's it just looks like white noise. You just don't engage with it. And I think this is going to be a really big turning point to those who are starting out now in their building their personal brand journey, because I'm just seeing so many more and more people using clearly AI generated content, but not even that, there's fake profiles, and
Yeah.
the amount of people are saying, oh yeah, they've done something or another, reviewed the post and left a comment. I totally agree with that, absolutely, so inspirational. I see so many more of that. And again, I think I'm certainly noticing, how is it you show that you are a genuine person and you're not a robot? Because I think that's
Yeah.
a big thing moving forward. How do you say that I am a personal brand, I'm not an AI generated robot?
Yeah, it is so hard. And I was one of those people that were really cautious to dip my toes in sort of the whole AI world at the beginning, because I thought I was employed to be a marketing professional. Surely I'm creative enough to not be told what to do. That was my thought process. But I have been sort of testing it out now. And I literally just wrote a whole blog for PLM on AI and sort of personal brand and how I do utilize it now. And for me, AI is a great tool to give me time back for more important things. So using it as a more admin basis. A lot of the times you'll have an idea, but just formulating it sort of how do I go about like structuring something, or can you check this for grammar? Like it's helped me write blogs for work really quickly, but then I can post it straight into AI and get it to check my grammar and make sure everything looks nice and tidy. So it's just kind of setting your boundaries with what you want to use it for. I have seen obviously a lot of rise of AI content, and when I get AI comments on my posts, I just delete them too.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
yeah, it's I think a lot of people are doing that now, because I don't want to reply to something that is just like great opinion. I think it's very easy to see when someone has clicked the AI response thing on LinkedIn Premium than
Mm.
actually wrote their thought piece. And I think it's easy to tell as well, because if someone really resonates with your content, you'll most likely hear something down the lines of like, this is really great. This is my thoughts on this. And I think when you
Mm.
post as well, if you leave it on a question and actually invite your audience in for them to talk about it, you'll kind of see who is being themselves and sort of actually engaging with your post for what it is, rather than an automated sort of response. But yeah, I would never sort of use it to write my posts. I think it just completely takes away the personal and the personal brand.
Mm.
This is about you and not a robot behind a screen at the end of the day. So keeping it to yourself, your tone of voice. You don't have to be professional. You can use really ironic emojis and things if it is going to tie it all up. Yeah, it is just dipping your toes in the water and seeing what you want to use it for and maybe what you don't want to use it for, and just having bits of boundaries.
No, I like that. So yeah, I'm thinking now about, because sometimes about, those AI robots, now I'm thinking, right, maybe I should start deleting them, like you say, trying to show that they're not going to take over and, think it's going to work like that. Just have something genuine to say.
I'm finding it hard to reply to the comments as well, knowing that
Yeah.
they're not generally interested and they're just
Yeah. You don't
posting.
want to say, oh, thank you. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah, because then that again probably looks like that you're just sort of engaging for the clickbait, or I don't know.
Yeah,
And
so
I think LinkedIn are onto this as well. That's a big thing.
and I have noticed recently, since I have started deleting them, that I have been getting less and less. And I just think your comment section is such a two-way conversation, and for you to actually build friendship and connections with the people that are engaging with your content, it's you want every interaction you have to be meaningful, and you don't have all the time in the world to work out how you're going to say thanks to an AI
Yeah.
generated comment. So
Really appreciate the support, yada yada. Yeah, you just
if
think
my effort is best used elsewhere, then I would rather use it
no,
elsewhere.
absolutely. No, I think that's really interesting sort of perspective to have, because another thing I was going to ask you about was, what I've been told, or what LinkedIn wants from us to build our personal brand properly, is to make sure we are engaging with other people's content as well as our own, and being genuine. How much time would you say you have really to engage with other people's content? How do you manage that? Is that something that you have to sort of map out when you're going to do things like that?
Yeah, so when I first started off, I heard, I can't remember where I got this from, but I had this mental thing in my head that I needed to drop 10 comments a day, and that would be 50 comments a week, and your name would show up in a lot of places where, like, it wouldn't before. And that is totally true, but it was getting to the point where I was kind of like, oh my God, I need to find a post to post on it because I'm only at like 8 posts. And it was just getting too much. And now as well, like especially with how much you have on, I wouldn't say you need to do X amount a day. It's just if you are on a LinkedIn and you have that little bit of time to dedicate it, just sort of see where you can time manage across it. So whether it is posting and replying to your own comments, which I would try and do first before commenting elsewhere, but then just clicking over to the home feed and dropping comments. I mean, once you start building a community, you'll have a lot of friends that you'll naturally sort of make anyway. So it's always great to sort of support your friends first and then obviously sort of comment and engage with your connections posts. But I wouldn't say necessarily that you should be like, I need to do this for half an hour a day. I need to comment on X amount of posts a day. Just do what you can. I do think there is too much expectation on people to do to do different things, whether that's post X times, comment X times, follow. It's just all for me is just doing what you can and not putting that pressure on yourself, because I said earlier, I think the moment that you add that pressure onto it, it becomes a chore and it isn't something that
Yeah.
is fun anymore.
That's not fun, is it? Yeah, I totally resonate with that. Like you said, oh, I have to, just because I've got to do what the algorithm says.
A lot of us spend a lot of our time going, what's the recent updates, and trying to adapt our content to fit that. And the more you're adapting and trying to chase an algorithm, the more you're just not being true to yourself, really. I think if the best way that you can nail an algorithm is just to keep going with your sort of repetitive content. This is who I am. This is the stuff I love talking about, and everything will follow. Your community will sort of flood in. But if you are doing video for the sake of doing video because someone told you that that's trending at the moment,
Yeah.
or the algorithm is telling you you need to comment on 20 people's posts, but then you're not having the time to actually post yourself or reply to your own comments. I think there is a lot of pressure on marketing professionals to keep up with everything at once.
Yeah.
But yeah, taking a step back, seeing what you can do on your day to day, and not putting that too much pressure on yourself, because you're going to start resisting it at the end of the day. It's going to be something that you probably fall out of love with because you feel like there's too much going on that you don't have the time for.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny 'cause I sometimes look at, say if I've done a post, very rarely do I get a post that sort of does take off, and it's really when it does, it's really like, oh my God, how did I get it so right? I didn't see this
Yeah.
coming. But there's a thing on your sort of LinkedIn page, and there's like mine currently is like a huge spike of where that post had some amazing traction, and then it's sort of flatlined from there. So where do we bow down to their rule book all the time? Is that the approach to do it? Do we just, be ourselves in a world when the algorithm's constantly changing and evolving? Can we, the formula's ever evolving. So just it's sticking to just being who you are and let
Yeah,
the rest
and
happen.
if I'm being honest, that is totally what I've been doing this whole entire time. Like, I really haven't been putting the pressure on myself to do what the platforms are sort of telling you, because they tell you to do stuff every other day. It's
Yeah.
like, it does get tiring. But one thing that doesn't get tiring, I hope, is just being yourself and posting what is true to you and what you enjoy. You will find an audience, you'll find that niche audience. But yeah, it is hard. And with obviously seeing what you said, when you have a thing that posts and then it flatlines a little bit, but that is just social media. Not everything is
Yeah.
going to be a hit. You are going to have the misses, and it's all about trial and error and just learning at the end of the day.
Yeah, of course.
But I would never sort of not post something because you don't think it's going to work out well. You just never know. I post memes probably week in, week out. One might get 100 likes and one might get like 3,000.
Yeah.
And I don't know how. I don't know how to explain it. Yeah, I would just try to stop putting pressure on yourself to sort of chase the algorithms, like chase the most recent trends, and just focus on actually serving sort of content for yourself and your audience, because then over time it's only going to be a reflection of sort of you more
Yeah.
than anything.
Absolutely, yeah. It's very. I think of that Black Mirror episode. You've seen it with the lady who's just trying to please everyone.
Yes.
It's very. It's almost like we're in that kind of world where it's like, I did everything that the algorithm wanted
Yeah.
me to do.
Like TikTok, isn't it? You could literally do something for hours and make sure it's accessible and
Yeah.
the captions, and it gets stuck in that 200 view gel, and then you could literally just post the TikTok randomly, like that's 5 seconds long and it gets 1 million views. Like, it's just so unpredictable, and it's not being disheartened if something doesn't work out that you thought it was going to work out. It might honestly be that it just wasn't posted at the right time.
Mm.
And I'm not saying sort of like the right time of day, but the summer, a lot of people are on more annual leave, or
Mm.
maybe it just didn't appear like properly. And if you believe in that content, honestly, repost it again. I'm
Okay.
really
That's
I'm really,
interesting.
really big on sort of like repurposing, whether you do have like a static post that you repurpose into carousel, or you have a blog that you sort of take part of it and put that into a post, or whether it is just repurposing. Like, I've done this multiple times. If I really truly believe in a post and it didn't really perform that well, I will just copy and paste the whole post and post it a couple months later and see if it does any different. And I've done this experiment a couple of times, and I've actually posted that I've done it to prove to people that to not
Okay.
get disheartened if something doesn't
That's
perform well.
interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll have to send you a comparison post that I've done
Yeah.
before. It's on one of my blogs somewhere, but it is really interesting. So as long as you believe in what you are putting out, like, don't be disheartened. That is one of my main things, because it might be completely environmental factors that are
Yeah.
working against you. It's nothing to do with sort of your content.
No, absolutely. I mean, I know you sort of said that if you think of something at lunchtime, you'll post it that afternoon. But do you, if somebody who's maybe starting out, would you say there's a particular time or day that is a better time to post to get that traction? What?
Yeah, to be honest, it's so hard. It's so hard with these platforms. For me, on LinkedIn, I've always found like sort of three peak times kind of work. The 8 a.m. sort of time, midday, like around lunch, and then late afternoon does really well. That's one that
Okay.
I'm like leaning into at the moment, which is so shocking, but anything from sort of in between 2 to 3 performs really well, and it has done across the board. Sort of what I do, because I don't really know sometimes, and it can differ from day to day, but what I do is I look at my home feed, look when people are posting, and if their posts look like they've had good engagement, then I'll post at that time if I have the post ready. So I sort of just play it by ear on when it looks like people are active online, because you can search active times and it will give you bog
Okay.
standard like industry ones across the board. But just maybe evaluate what people are doing on your feed if they're posting at specific times, or using those sort of like three peak times that I've seen, the 8 a.m., midday, lunch, and then late afternoon. As for days, honestly, I don't see much difference between the
Even in
days.
the weekends as well?
Oh, I don't really post on the weekend.
Okay.
Like, I have trialed and errored it before just to see. I haven't really like tried it too much, and I don't think it's something that I would try, because what I do try to do is keep my weekends as clear as possible. I do know that sometimes I jump on and I write a blog, or maybe do a bit of a brand partnership post that I know that I've got coming up, but I do try to keep my weekends free. I just wouldn't post anywhere sort of after 4 p.m. each day,
Okay.
to be honest, because then you're going to hit the commutes, whether people are commuting from London home.
Sure. Yeah.
And I know people say that gives them more time to scroll, but some people just do not go on their phone after a long work day. So I don't really post sort of like after 4 p.m. at all.
Okay. That's interesting.
I don't really go on, like, when the work day's over for me, I am straight on TikTok or something. I don't really then go on LinkedIn again. It's more of something that I sort of look periodically through like the core working days. So lunch is a really hot point for me. I'll spend a lot of my lunch just having a quick scroll, because I know a lot of people are going to be active on there, or before work as well. I always like to take like half an hour before I start, because I know a lot of people are sort of on their commutes to work and they feel in the fresh mindset to sort of go on and start talking. So they're good times for me.
Yeah, yeah. I guess maybe it depends on the market you're in or who your
Yeah.
audience are. Possibly, I don't know. That you mentioned like 2 to 3 p.m. seems to be a good point. Is that because maybe people are getting towards the end of their day and they're like, oh God, is it? Oh, I've still got 3 hours to be here, and then yeah.
To be honest, although majority of my audience is in the UK, I do have a lot of like people now in like the US, and at like 2, 3 p.m. I think that's the beginning of their work day.
Yeah,
So maybe it's helping them see the content a little bit
yeah,
better as well. And I mean, it's always cool to have connections sort of globally, which is fun.
yeah.
Yeah, I guess look at your audience, see where your audience is located, and maybe like the times that would work out best for them.
So really, to sort of sum everything up in, if there was one bit of advice, one key thing, 'cause there's so many takeaways from this talk already that I'm going to implement, but say if there was one bit of advice for somebody who really wants to launch their personal brand properly, maybe they've tried or maybe they've been too scared, what is the one crucial piece of advice you would give to somebody who wants to kickstart their personal brand career tomorrow?
Oh gosh, just one. I can
Just
speed
one.
fire a couple at you, but like, cliche, don't start, just overthink it. You don't have to have everything figured out at once. You can adapt, you can learn, you can change things as you go along. I think a lot of people say you need to do this, this, and this, and have this ready and know what you want to post, but you can just adapt and learn. I think there was something Stephanie Sword Williams said in a podcast or maybe a webinar that I loved, and it was like, you are already like, if you don't think a post is going to do well but you're not posting, you're already living your worst nightmare. So just go for it. Just, it is a commitment, so make sure you have the time and effort to put into it. And again, one big major thing is just take a step back, evaluate what you need to do, and make sure you have time for you. Don't let it rule over your life, because I have done that and I have lost a bit of myself in it as well. So just making sure that you have the time to do everything that you would normally do and this on top, not let it sort of overtake everything.
Definitely, and yeah, no, 100%. And one sort of random question I was going to ask you: what is the one LinkedIn myth you'd love to bust?
Gosh, that people that post on LinkedIn are bragging. No one brags, and that it isn't the new Facebook, or it's just a B2B tool. Like, there's so much opportunity for people on there now. I think we need to get over the traditional corporate professional platform that LinkedIn maybe was, and realize that it has changed and what it is now.
Definitely, yeah. No, I think listen to some people are showing their vulnerables themselves, what's not going right in their life, rather than the I walked past this today and they walked in for an interview and
Yeah.
they were late, they did this, and all
Yeah,
these
I just
fake
would say
stories.
as well, I guess this is a bit of advice, but if you ever go to post, I think a lot of people think to be transparent and authentic, you have to sort of overshare or share really raw moments of your life, and that's just so not true. If you ever go to post something and have a bad gut feeling about it, just don't post it. You don't have to incredibly overshare or bring people into these intimate moments of your life if you don't need to. That is not going to be the be end
Yeah,
and end all of you being transparent and being yourself. So just obviously, I guess, how many times am I going to say take a step back? But just like, what you're comfortable with. Don't push yourself out of your comfort zone just because you think that's what's needed to be transparent on there.
Yeah, no, brilliant. I think that's a good lesson to go. Just don't put too much pressure on yourself. Be yourself, and don't follow the noise that everyone else is doing just because they say they're doing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, amazing. No, I think that there's some really great takeaways. Some things I'm definitely going to have to think about how I'm sort of building, monitoring personal branding. So I think that's been really useful. So really, thank you so much for taking the time to share your amazing journey. And I can't wait to see what the next 2 years brings in your personal brand, and how it helps your career.
Thank you so much for having me. I hope I haven't rambled too
Not
much.
at all.
For anyone watching, if anyone has any questions or anything, you're more than welcome to message me, and I'll promise I'll get back to you.
Thank you so much. It's been great having you.